I find it fascinating that the word incarceration and the word incarnation both sound so similar. You might turn to me and say, what? Incarceration? That's in reference to criminals. How would they in any way compare to us amazing souls who are living through this life, living through this paradigm of spirituality, of giving, of love, of care for one another? I shall explain. You know, our souls come down to this world. They come to this world in a limited form. They went from a world, from a being where they were illuminated, where they were holy and spiritual, and they come down to this world in an incarcerated form, in a humanly form, in a form where there's a lot of polarity, where there's duality, where there's hate, where there's people who live life thinking that they are victims and they victimize others as a result, where there's bullies roaming around, all kinds of negativities happening. Although my channel is not about negativity, and I'm not here to judge anybody, whether it's a victim or a past bully or a current bully. I'm not here to judge them. Lots of them are dealing with a lot of pain. Nonetheless, I'm using this as a catalyst. I'm using them as a catalyst to give you a clear understanding and a clearer picture when it comes to understanding the correlation between the word incarceration and the word incarnation. Getting back to point, we live in this humanly form, we live in this flesh, in this body, and we often enough don't even know that we're souls. How many years of my life have I gone through not even realizing that I'm a living soul, just living in a limited, incarcerated form? How many years of my life have I done that? Too many, shall I say. Or shall I say, actually, not too many, because that was my mission. That's what I came here for. I didn't come to this world to have a picnic, to kick my shoes off at the beach and relax. That's not what I came here for. I came here to deal with certain issues, deal with certain traumas, and I've actually accomplished in this lifetime what many people don't accomplish in a few lifetimes. How so, you might ask? Well, for starters, I'm transgender. Not many people are transgender. Not many people have lived through two different paradigms. Lived through the gender of being male, and then hence gone to live through the gender, done that shift and jump ship, and live through the life of being a woman. Now, I'm not here to judge anybody who has any means of criticism for the transgender person, or who wants to find fault with the transgender person, or even wants to mock and belittle the transgender person. I'm not here to judge that person. That's that person's journey. That's that person's means of dealing with their own issues. That's that person's means of grappling with their own insecurities. And that's not for me to judge. But getting back to point, I have lived in this lifetime a reality most people have never been able to envision. Most people have never been able to live two different lives. And most people have never really been able to live a life going from the paradigm of living in an ultra-Orthodox Jewish community to a life living in the open society all around them. I consider myself to be a traditional Jew, a religious Jew in many, many ways, but I don't consider myself to be a fundamentalist, and that's called jumping ship. And I've jumped ship in that way as well. So I do have an illuminating experience, an unusual experience, which kind of gives me a really, really good feeling when I recollect and I reminisce my past. And I think about, why did I have so many years of living without a soul, without realizing that my soul is there with an existence? Following on, I wanted to talk about the narcissist. Now, before I start talking about the narcissist, I want to mention 2 points. Number one, don't refer to a narcissist as a narcissist. Rather refer to that person as a person with narcissistic traits. Why? Because when you do that, you're not pedestaling them and you're giving them their ability to heal and not remain cultivated in their past means of trauma, which they use you as a springboard for. Many people with narc tendencies think that they could use others for a springboard in order to be able to forget what made them become a person with narcissistic traits. So don't allow them to use you in order for them to be able to heal properly. And don't call anybody narcissist, rather refer to them as people with narcissistic traits. Number two, worth mentioning, and that is that narcissism comes in various different forms. There's one type of narcissist who's the polar opposite of the other type of narcissist. This type of narcissist walks around saying, I'm the grandiose type. I'm perfect. And you're the little person here who's going to serve me, who's going to serve my toes and wash my toes for me. There's the other type of narcissist who walks around saying, I'm inferior, I'm unworthy, and I'm a victim. And you're going to come here to rectify my state of victimhood for the rest of my life. And you're responsible for everything I've been through. Both of those people who are struggling with narcissistic traits are not similar in any way. And if you were to hear somebody call the person who calls himself inferior the person with the narcissistic trait, you'd say no. They're in no way comparable to the person who walks around saying that they are superior and you need to worship them and you need to wash their toes for them. A couple of days ago, I want to mention this as well because it correlates to this message about narcissistic traits. A couple of days ago, I mentioned in my video a fascinating point. An amazing commenter, Beth, pointed out how she understood it, which was really fascinating because it gave me a really, really good implication, a really good idea as to what it meant on a deeper level. Basically, I spoke about the concept of you being the light being chased by darkness. If you are the light being chased by darkness, whether you're dealing with a person with narcissistic traits, or you're dealing with a person who's throwing upon you all the grief, all the past trauma, all the hardships, and thinking that you are there to absorb it and suffer for them. That's why they're being cruel to you. That's why they're judging you. That's why they're pushing you, pushing your buttons, right? If you're dealing with that kind of thing, remember, you are the light and they are the dark. Darkness cannot remove and cannot extinguish light. Darkness cannot extinguish an illuminated light. It's impossible. It's an impossibility. Getting back to the point about the person with the narcissistic traits. If you're dealing with a person who has narcissistic traits, the most beneficial, healthiest, practical approach is tell the person, I have boundaries. And my boundaries do not change under any circumstances. You don't like that? You're going to have to lump it. Hopefully somebody else will be there for you to be helped in order to recover from your past trauma. But I have boundaries, and my boundaries are not up for negotiation. Remember the story I told you with the bike? You leave a bike in the back garden with the gate open. The gate's going to be walked through. That open gate will make the thief think that it's time to walk through that gate and hence go and steal the bike. On a similar level, when you're dealing with somebody who doesn't respect your boundaries or somebody who's dealing with past trauma and they're using you as a springboard and throwing their grief upon you, tell them, I will hence leave you. We might not meet again in this lifetime, but who knows? We might meet in another lifetime. By doing that, you have hence given them the impression to realize that their narcissistic traits is not going to be healed through them showering those narcissistic grief, senses of grief upon you. You know, a lot of people in life go through life thinking that they need to be there for others. And they need to be the springboard for others. They don't take into account the fact that they may not be able to be there for others, and they need to step aside and perhaps get some me time before they go back and help that person. Or perhaps they need to separate themselves from that particular person struggling with narcissistic traits. Because often enough, people struggling with narcissistic traits are very difficult to hear out, are very difficult to be a springboard for, because they're just very possibly going to use you thereafter. Also worth mentioning that the person with the narcissistic traits very, very often is just using you as their tape recorder to shout out, express, ring out their past trauma, which you could do very little about. This is in reference to the person with the narcissistic traits who was abused as a child, who was perhaps badly abused as a child. And they have hence decided that they are inferior today. And you're going to help them feel on par and equal towards you by being their springboard and allowing yourself to absorb the negative energy. That person with narcissistic traits also needs to be separated from. That's my message today. A powerful message. I found today's message to be a powerful and an illuminating message about the soul, about the spiritual ascension. When it comes to people with narcissistic traits, very, very often, they are the person that's really unable to handle that person who has reached a level of a spiritual ascension. That's why they do what they do. Press the like button if you enjoyed today's video. And why not feel free to share away this video with your friends, family, peers, and acquaintances. If you have any comments, please leave your comments in the comment section down below. Some amazing, amazing commenters have left their amazing, amazing feedback in the last few days. And I am ever, ever so grateful for that. Thanks so much. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. I love you tons and tons. Have a great day. I love you.